Hey everyone, my name is Gavin, and this will be a simple tutorial on how to make enemy waves. So what I'm talking about is if I hit P to play, I can collide with all these enemies to delete them, and once that last enemy is deleted, it'll add a new wave of enemies. And it will keep doing that indefinitely, and you can look in the top left corner, and I've got a variable set to 5 enemies, and once it reaches 0, it'll respawn a new batch. Alright, I'm just going to get started. So in our new Blender file, I'm just going to hit X delete on the camera. Let's right click on our player, and what we're going to do is turn our player blue by clicking right here and adding that right that. Alright. What we're now going to do is I'm going to click on this tab right here and rename our player to player. And let's go from Blender game to rendered to Blender game, sorry. Click this tab, the physics tab, give this object character physics. Bring this back out and go from defaults to game logic. Alright, now that we have this, we're just going to add 4 directional movement to our cube. So 4 keyboard sensors. This first one will be called forward, and the key will be W. This one will be called backward. The key will be S. This one will be left, and the key will be A. Oh, this is a message sensor. Whoops. Keyboard sensor. Somehow I got a message sensor in there. And this one will be called right, I believe. Yeah. And I'll put D as the key. Alright, so now that we got that, let's do forward, back, left, right. So 4 motion actuators. Alright. And let's do 0.1 on the y-axis for forward. For backward, let's put negative 0.1. For left, let's put negative 0.1 on the x-axis. And for right, let's put 0.1 right here. Okay, now that we have this, connect these like this. Now I'm going to hit 7 to go back in the top view. And if we hit spacebar and then add a plane, put this plane beneath our player and hit S and 10 to scale it out, we should be able to see we can move our player around like this. That's good. Click this right here to go into layer 2, so we're going to be in layer 2 now. And let's do spacebar and then add a cube. I'm going to right click on this cube, and I'm going to rename it as enemy. Enemy like this. I'm going to click this right here and give this character physics. Okay. And now that we have this, what we just want to do is have it so that when there's a collision that occurs with the property player, we are going to just delete this object. Actually, we're going to do one more thing, which is we're going to add a message sensor. This message sensor will be called death, I guess. Death or something like that. We're going to minimize this, and let's put that above our edit object actuator because we can't send a message if an object is deleted. So it's going to collide and then send a message and then delete itself. I will apply a color to this enemy object just so we know which one we're dealing with, and this color will be red. Okay, good. Now that we got that, what we're going to do is I am going to hit 7 to go in the top view and do spacebar and then add an empty object. This empty object will be a cube. And alright, what I'm going to do is add an always sensor and add a message sensor. This message sensor will be called enemy death, with tap selected, and the subject will be death. Like that. Alright. Add a Python controller and connect it like this. And let's add a game property to our our spawn point objects. Make it an integer, and let's put enemies like this and keep it at 0 for now. Alright, one thing I might want to do is right click on our player first, and let's add the property player since our enemy object is going to need that to delete. Okay, let's now create a template by doing templates, Python, and then game logic simple. Whoops, not module. templates Python, and then game logic simple. And delete the portion I've highlighted. And hit Control and scroll up on your mouse to make your text larger. And I'm just going to call this game script for now. And let's add that inside of our Python controller. Alright. What we're going to do now is actually I'm going to delete these. We're going to define our own methods. Sorry. We're going to define two different functions. So let's define enemy drop like this. And I'm not going to do anything with that one for now. And then we're going to define the main. Then we're going to run the main. Alright. Now that we have this, let's define four different things. The controller is going to equal bg.logic.get current controller. Own is going to be equal controller.owner. Then what we're going to have is define the current scene. .get current scene like this, defining the scene. And define the enemy death is going to equal controller.sensors enemy death. So we've just defined those four things, and we're going to need those. Inside of our method right here, what we're going to do is have if enemy death.positive. What we're going to do is take away one from the enemies. So own enemies is going to minus equal 1. And then what we're going to do is check to see if the enemies is now equal to 0 if we don't have any enemies left. If we don't have any enemies left, what we're going to do is have if own enemies is equal to 0. What we're going to do is call the enemy drop function above. Enemy drop. Also, outside of our if statement, we're going to do if own enemies is equal to 0. We're going to have enemy drop is going to be called. The reason why we do this outside is since we're starting off with our game property at 0, we wanted to call upon startup. Okay, now that we have this, and I'm actually going to drag this out really quick. Hit Control and scroll out. I'll now focus on this enemy drop. When this function is called, I'm going to have a something called x value is going to be equal to -5. And we're going to have own.worldPosition.x is going to equal -5. So we're going to set the spawn point object's position to -5. Then we're going to have a for loop, so we're going to have for x in range of 0 to 5. What we're going to do is do scene.addObject enemy. We want it to spawn at the own object, and we don't want it to have any sort of time limit, so let's put 0. Then what we're going to do is do own.worldPosition. It's going to plus equal 5. Or how about 3 or something like that. Okay. Now that we have this, what we're going to do is drag this back out. And I'm going to hit P. Oops. There's an error somewhere around here. Line 15. Oh. .x right there. Make sure it's adding on the x-axis. That's not what I was expecting. Oh. That was stupid of me. We need to set the enemies to 5 after this. Once we've added our 5 enemies, we're going to set the enemies back to 5. There you go. That was really confusing me. Now we should see, is there going to be a collision that occurs? Nope. Alright, let me right click on my player really quick and click this on the enemies. Oh, add the property player for the property that needs to be collided with. So, player inside of the enemy property, and make sure the player has the player property. Sorry, I messed that up. Alright, now we should be able to delete all 5 of these objects and they'll respawn. I'll hit this I really quick. Actually, I'll hit this I and do game and then show debug properties, because I think something kind of messed up right there. Oh, no, it worked. Alright, I guess it might have been a minor glitch really quick. Yeah, it'll delete 2 objects at a time sometimes, so you might have to fix that. But Well, that still works though. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Alright, there you go. That's how you make a simple wave with Python and the Blender game engine. I hope you guys find that very useful. Yep. Alright guys, thanks for watching.